I want to go straight to Alan Jones because this is a segment where we talk about all the things that you want us to put on the table. And he loves it, I love it. We'd love to hear from you via my Facebook page. He joins me now from Sydney. But I want to go first, Alan, pick up a question from one of the viewers, Alice
Can I just,
Phillips,
before you do that, I mean, how good is that bloke, Peter? How good is that bloke? And he's not in the ministry. I mean, honestly, that was the best common sense you'd hear if you walked from Cape York to Wilson's Promontory, eh?
So this is the rub. You know, he talked there about bills on the fridge under the magnet.
Yeah.
Everyone at home knows exactly what he's talking about.
Absolutely.
And this is going to be, I think, a real battle royal inside the National Party. It could cause McCormack to lose his job if he is just going to roll over, that the National Party doesn't have an independent brand. But this is exactly where, this shows how smart people are, this is exactly where one of our viewers, Alice Phillips, went today. I want to get up her question on the screen because she says, with the Liberal Party seemingly sliding to the left, when will the National Party split from the coalition and be a truly conservative party? Maybe the Nats should join forces with One Nation. This is going to be the battle this year, I think.
Well, there's only one thing wrong with the question, with due respect, and the use of the word seemingly. Seemingly. I mean, they're on the left. They're the de facto Greens. I mean, it's just extraordinary, some of the stuff that is coming out of the Liberal Party room. And now, what I really love, Peter, is this business now about net zero. They talk about carbon. We're meaning carbon dioxide emissions. So we'll fake the figures. We'll get to net zero, but we'll leave out manufacturing and agriculture. I mean, what do the figures mean? No, look, I think there is a real crisis here, and we've seen that in relation to free speech. I mean, you and I know we've been to the House of Commons, and can you imagine backbenchers being told in the House of Commons that they couldn't hold a different viewpoint from that of the government? They'd say, what Matt Canavan said, I'm here to represent my electorate. I'm here to represent a particular viewpoint. That's what I was elected to do. Now we're criticising what's going on in Myanmar because that woman's been shut down, Aung San Suu Kyi, and we're trying to shut down people like Craig Kelly in Australia. Tell me how we're different. The lurch to the left is over. How do we get them back? I mean, the debt is classic,
I've got to say too, if people are at home and they can watch BBC or anyone else takes PM's questions on a Wednesday night, our time, you will see the backbenchers leap up. They do not have these rubbish Dorothy Dixer questions our blokes do and our women do, and it's pretty phenomenal to watch. I want to go to another question. I wrote about this on the weekend. We're talking about putting our hotel quarantine facilities inside our capital cities. Clearly, it's not working. We've got another case today in Victoria. This is a question from Brett Carroll. He wants to know why we're still using minimum wage workers on the front line. Obviously, they're free to get out in the suburbs. We need better controls. I am of the mind, if our premiers are going to go down the path of restrictions and lockdowns and they're going to go for eradication, Alan, which they clearly are now, there's no pretence at suppression, then we've got to protect ourselves and put our quarantine in places like Puckapunyal, the army base in central Victoria.
100%.
Why aren't we doing it?
100%. Hey, what was your previous question about lurching to the left? What was your
Why aren't we doing it?
We've answered that tonight. I mean, Anastasia Palaszczuk, to be fair to her, said there are mining camps outside Gladstone, which, and we know what the mining industry does. They provide magnificently for their workers. There are swimming pools, tennis courts and so on, and it's completely secure. We can't go on with this hotel quarantining nonsense, but this is the failure of the National Cabinet. We never know what goes on. The Prime Minister sort of seems to determine things and no one else, everyone falls into line. The hotel quarantining system, as you said in your article, has failed. And yes, we've got Puckapunyal, there's a stack of these places where it could be done. And we've got 40,000 people who want to get back to Australia, Australians who want to get into the country, and they have to swallow the argument, we don't have quarantine facilities to accommodate you. I mean, honestly, knocking out Australian citizens when actually they're letting whole heaps of entourages in for the Australian Tennis Championships, the whole thing, quarantine thing, is a mess.
Spot on. We're not talking about inflicting hotel quarantine in regional communities. We're talking about facilities that are already in regional communities, which wouldn't make it unsafe for regional communities because of it. Now, quick one.
Yes.
Put your old English teacher hat on here. What did you make of the story in the Daily Telegraph that you can be in Year 12 now, if you're sitting your HSC, you are not going to be marked down for having poor spelling, grammar and punctuation. You've got to say then, why bother learning it at all, if that's the sort of message we're sending?
Well, the only thing wrong with the story, Peter, that's not new. This has been going on for ages and ages. And the argument ventilated is, well, we don't penalise them for grammar. We only penalise them if they don't develop a comprehensive understanding of the works of literature that they've been asked to study. Now, they mustn't have learnt something from the works of literature if they can't spell, punctuate and know nothing about grammar. So one excludes the other. But this stuff's been going on for ages. Look, there's a total dismantling of standards, a total dismantling of discipline. And if you've got a system at work which has no discipline and no standards, it can't be called education.
Well, if you're as offended as I am by the crime of people throwing an apostrophe in wherever they think it might go, settle down. Have a Bex, lie down, because that looks like it's the way of the future. Alan Jones, he's back at 8 o'clock. Don't miss him tonight. Love to have you on the show.
Talking to Craig
as
Kelly,
always.
by the way. Okay, see you then.
Oh, well, that is a do not miss episode. Right, thank you, Alan.
Bye-bye, Peter.
Right.